Let me at the outset welcome Dr. Jan with the invitation that if you could join and inaugurate this program, which is designed on the basis of what should be the strategy for the future to cover this management of transition for every sector, every segment of energy, coal being the most important. He readily agreed. In fact, he said, "Where is the request?" So that was true. I sent him the request formal, and he is with us. So I again join my friends who have already welcomed you, Dr. Jan, and I'm grateful to you. I also welcome all the eminent speakers. So we have Kirit Parikh, we have Mr. Bami and other friends. I won't be able to give the names of each one of them because this group is always, and this type of seminar organized by IEF is always attended by very, very eminent personalities who have done a lot of things and achieved a lot of 5 years. All groups of energy have seen a lot of changes, technological changes. In fact, we have started seeing not changes but disruptions, starting with solar, which within a period of 5 years, one couldn't have imagined that its price will come down from 14 rupees a kilowatt hour to 2 rupees 50 paisa a kilowatt hour, the way it has come down. And with solar and around solar, many other technological changes and disruptions are being thought of. One after another announcements are being made, one after another scientific community, technologists are coming forward as to how, if we have to go in such a big way around solar, what could be its effects, consequential effects, what would be the benefits, and how do we handle the situation. So therefore, this is a period in which changes could be even faster, as the people are saying. IEF attempts to have sectoral discussions and at the end of it, integrate, synthesize these discussions to evolve an approach and suggest to different agencies and authorities. As of today, we have two reference documents. One is the Niti Aayog Energy Policy of 2017, and very recently, early 2021, International Energy Agency has brought out India Energy Outlook. And that, I would say, is the most recent work in an authoritative manner that one can rely upon. And we get some ideas as to what the future holds for us. I think the India Energy Outlook brought out by International Energy Agency covers a period of 2020 to 2040, and it paints a picture of how we should go about. As we know, that in India, so far as reserves of energy is concerned, coal, we are best placed. We have almost 360, 370 billion tons of coal goes on. We have an estimate of something like 750 gigawatt of solar that has been done. And then again, this is evolving, more studies and more estimates, updated estimates come. We have an estimate of more than 300 gigawatt, 300,000 megawatt of wind. Of course, our estimates of hydro is 150 gigawatt. We have done so far about 50 gigawatt. And nuclear, I would say at present is even less than 2, but one can say 3 to 5% depending on how it goes on. So these are our energy ingredients in our total energy basket. Now, the International Energy Agency suggests that over a period of next 20 years, as of today, the share of coal in the energy basket is about 42%. It was 35% 10 years back. It is 42% today because of coal-based generation capacity coming in a big way. Over a period of next 20 years, this might go down to about 33 to 35%. So what is 42% might go to. And at present, in the energy, in the power process, the share of solar is about 4 to 5%. It may go up to about 30% plus over a period of 20 years. That is the projection that International Energy Agency has brought about. And we know that India is concerned, government is concerned, everyone is concerned about our excessive dependence on import of petroleum fuels. I mean, at present, we are importing crude of the order of 85% of our consumption. We are importing gas of the order of 50% of our consumption. So, I mean, in both these cases, while gas sector projects that from present 6 to 7% of energy basket, it might attempt to go up to 15%, it might go to 12, 13%, depending on how city gas distribution and other consumption sectors move on. But then so far as petroleum products are concerned, there is definite strategy to bring it down substantially. So that is the window of opportunity for the domestic sector. Coal sector is a reserve with us. We cannot forget it. Even though I did that calculation, if it becomes about 35% by 2040 of the total in the generation. Today, coal constitutes 70% of our power generation. And as I said, so converge in 20 years, and that is what is the projection of IEA. But then I did the calculation, by that time our growth on generation. So there will be, as opposed to the present growth rate of about 5% plus, 5% plus over the years, it could be about 2 to 3%. Now, 2 to 3% growth, it is not that many people think coal will vanish. It cannot vanish, at least in the next 20 years that we can see. Beyond 2040, again, what would be the technological changes and what will happen, and how do we shape our own coal pre-combustion and post-combustion? Because there are definite suggestions. Earlier, we had discussions on technology in the energy sector, and some of the suggestions that have emerged, and they are not new, they have been there for a couple of decades at least, if not more, that in coal, which is our best reserve, which constitutes most important energy source for India, we have to do things which will make its pre-combustion and post-combustion activities environment friendly. And therefore, coal gasification has been talked over the years. Now we are also talking of coal to hydrogen, coal methane. These have been talked. I think they have been at the talk stage. They have been at some research stage, but definite outcomes have yet to be seen. And it is that which we have to now discuss, that how do we manage this transition from now to 2040, in which I am very clear, and I go with the estimates, which may be approximately okay insofar as International Energy Agency is concerned. I do not believe, like many others believe, that we have to forget about coal. We cannot forget about coal. And its growth might definitely, if the new sources of power generation are coming forward, obviously its growth will reduce. It has already slowed down now. New coal plants are not coming up in a big way. They came in last 10 years. It will slow down. So the best thing that we can do, and that is what would be the subject of discussion today, and we have very eminent speakers. How do we do things in terms of technology development? How do we network our research? How do we network Coal India Limited, NTPC, BHEL? I tried in the year 2004-5 with the chairman of all these companies that can we integrate the efforts of these major leading organizations, the users, the manufacturers, and the suppliers of coal, so that the coal consumption and coal use before it is sent to the power plant, after it is sent to the power plant, when it is consumed, and after combustion. Can we revisit some of the technologies issues and redesign our things so that the burden of carbon dioxide is reduced? The other day we had a discussion on coal to hydrogen. Again, we will have CO2, but much less to manage. Coal gasification will have CO2, but much less to manage. But these have remained, as I said, on discussions and a little bit of research work in our laboratories and there. Today, it is good that major organizations are coming forward, both in public sector and private sector, to see how best we use this 350, 370 billion tons of coal reserve in the future. So on petroleum products from outside is reduced. We become more or less self-contained. We will have to import, but more or less self-contained. As of today, we were just before the secretary came, we were chit-chatting that today coal is at the top of the world. Just today it is reported in China it is 212 rupees a ton. So therefore, its relevance has to continue. But it is also up to us, the technologists of this, the scientists of this, and the policy makers of this sector. It is to us how best we also address adequately the problems arising out of carbon emissions. With these words, I once again welcome particularly Dr. Jain and all the distinguished speakers and participants. Thank you very much. So I think we have had enough comments and observations, and also the question raised by Mr. Ajay Kumar Singh from Dhanbad was answered very comprehensively by Rahul. See, when this title was chosen, it is not that you are going to become net zero tomorrow or even 10 years or 15 years. Question is journey to a transition. That is why transition. Coal transition to net zero. Net zero is being talked as a concept, as a reality sometime in future. When that future will be 2050, 2060, different countries are putting their own targets, and those targets may be again revisited by them, not possible, maybe earlier possible if some new technological things happen. So I think let's not get into that because it's a journey towards that. But from the discussions today, I got many of the speakers, including Rahul presentation, very comprehensive presentation. This was not to defend the case of India versus somebody else. The question is, today, if certain things are available which are of cheaper options, cost optimized options, nobody is putting a condition, but then your power plants are not getting dispatched. So if your power plants are costly, they are not getting dispatched. In the last 7-8 years, or 10 years, from something like 78-79% plant load factor, coal-based power stations plant load factor have reduced to 55% or something like that, may further reduce. It is not necessarily on account of somebody has become more conscious about CO2 and therefore PLF is reducing. Absolutely not. If other options will emerge, if other technological options will emerge, so the two things will move parallelly. Technologically better options which evolve, which gives you, but for a country like India, it should be affordable power, people should get, and if more better options between one power plant to another plant, power plant, there is today competition. I think discussions on common but differentiated responsibility of the country, let it be left to the global level arguments and debate. Question is, we should not be under the burden that this is going to happen in next 10, 15. In my opening remarks, I also made that point that even International Energy Agency is saying that today 70% of power is from coal-based power generation, coal or lignite. By 2040, that figure might come down to 35%. Today, 5% of power generation is by solar. By the same time, 2040, it is estimated that it might come near again 30-35%. So they both will converge. One is at the top and one is at the bottom at 4%, 5% will converge. Now, this is one under the consideration of our thought or our sympathy or about whatever our loyalty about reduction of CO2. Another is also on account of economics of power. India needs cheaper power, so therefore, now there can be debate, this cheaper power, hidden costs and all that, those things we can postpone for some other time. I think that is what was meant in this discussion. To a great extent it has happened, to some extent it may not have happened. Secondly, the purpose was not to make us complacent on not doing anything. That's not okay. This is a reality. Coal will grow during these 20 years, definitely will grow. Beyond 20 years also it will grow. I did my calculation, I mentioned it briefly, that if it has been growing at the rate of 5 to 6%, simple average, it will grow at the rate of maybe less than 2%, not now, but over a period of 20, 25, 30 years. It will still grow. Volume of coal-based power generation, because the growth of power generation will also happen. Somewhere down the line, again after 2040, 50, maybe some other technological changes will happen, we don't know. But at least everybody is saying that. All our documents, all our studies are saying. So we don't need to defend that. But at the same time, we cannot continue to be as irresponsible. Even Power Secretary said that in mining operations, we need to be cautious about carbon footprint. In transportation, we need to be cautious about carbon footprint. In pre-combustion and post-combustion, we need to be. So if something can be done, and in the meantime, if new technologies come, that there could be other products of coal beyond sending it to power generation, boiler and all that, that should be the like coal to hydrogen, coal to methanol, coal to gasification. And the point was made that gasification today is a bit complex, but we don't know. Tomorrow technology or the whole thing can change and it can become easier to handle. There also we will have some CO2, but then we should think of carbon capture and utilization. Somehow on those aspects, we have not been very, very active. So the idea was that your transition is not to lead the discussion to a conclusion, that don't worry, business as usual will happen. You may assume that, coal people may assume that, and they will face the problem. Right now, they will face the problem of lower growth rate. After some time, that lower growth rate may become very little. But if from business as usual, we start getting our acts together on these issues, it is not that these issues have no meaning. I mean, giving assurance that it will happen, we can assure ourselves. But these issues have no meaning. We can continue to burn like this. Thermal people can continue to design like this. BHL can continue to manufacture like this. And this has no meaning. I'm sorry, I don't think that was the idea. There are things that have come. Partha has also said cost optimization has to happen. Clean coal technology, not because of coal people only, also because of thermal power people, has been given already a go-by on the beneficiation coal washery. And that was something that could have been done. Even that we have left. So I think the message was that net zero does not mean net zero as it is now, or even 10, 15, 20. We don't know. Journey towards this. This is one. And which is a real issue, and that issue has to be addressed. Second was that definitely there will be other options of power availability. There will be other options of heat, which will be available to people and other industries as well. So therefore, we should be cautious that we are competitive in energy market itself. Like I told you, PLF going from 80% to 55%. So we should be competitive. Nobody can help us because that is what it is needed. Thirdly, we should not be complacent that since this is not happening, therefore we business as usual. So I think so long as we get those messages right, and I write at the highest level, that's why we requested Coal Secretary also to be here. And some of the responsible comments even from coal people, many of the coal people have come that we need to, Mr. Jha made that point now his point was a little louder because he is also with power industry. That means we need to be more cautious on some of those things that need to be done. I think that should be enough for this. We will be able to summarize as a good learning, good viewpoints, message for others. I mean, we need not be bullish that message for those people that yes, coal is going away. No, absolutely not. Message for coal people that business as usual also would not be okay. You may do that, but then to your own disadvantage in the